Let's unmute Yisroel. I'm unmuting Yisroel. We have Yisroel Rosenberg here. Yisroel, you're unmuted. Shalom Aleichem.
I'm muted. Shalom, Rabbi. How are you?
Excellent. How's everything?
Everything was great. Last night was amazing. The show and tell thing was beautiful. Hello?
You see what Rabbi Yitzchak,
I don't hear you, Rabbi.
he made yarmulkes for the whole yeshiva. Could you hear me now?
Yeah. No, I don't. Don't hear you. Can't hear anything. I don't know what's happening.
Let's try. Could the Chevra hear me? Shimi Shil Ari Malik, could you hear me? So, choppy. Let's see if we could get this clearer. Sroli, how about now? Thumbs up. Rabbi Brownstein made this yesterday. For the whole yeshiva, he made yarmulkes, all different colors and sizes. But Nachum Wolf, I give Nachum Wolf the credit, right? Brownstein and Nachum together. But what Shlomo Zalman likes is that he wrote on the inside, Mizuna Darta. So Shlomo, Avi, how cool is that, Avi Lachman? On the inside, it says Mizuna Darta. So we'll set Nachum, thanks to Nachum for that. We're going to have on in a couple of moments. We're going to hear. Thank you, Shmuley Grossberg. Thank you, Mendy Hecht, for being here. Thank you, Rav Ezi. One of the things, Nafti, Baruch Hashem, Mickey Grumbaum's here. Bless his soul. Thank you, Mickey, for being here. Thank you. Thank you, Mickey. Baruch Hashem, we're thanking Hashem for the things we have. The opportunity to learn with Aaron Metz. In a few minutes after Motti speaks, we're going to hear from Yisroel Neuman. After Yisroel is going to sing for us Penny Schachter. Will sing us something after Divrei Torah today. We have Alicia Friedman, Alicia Edelman, so many good things. Maish Gross is here. You were dynamic last night, Maish Gross. Yoey Friedman's here. Baruch Hashem, a lot to be thankful. Morty Hallen's here. Avi Wolaski's here. Maybe his grandmother's is in that room. Who knows? But really, it's, Grandma's here. Thank you, Grandma, for being here. Thank you. Thank you. Put back to Grandma. One more. Let's get to Grandma. Second yak. Try again. Right there. Right there. Perfect. Yeah. Hello, Grandma. Great to see you. Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Thank you for being here. So certainly we see a lot of Chesed Hashem and we thank Hashem. Yo-Yo's here. The whole Chevra is here. Yosef Hazan is here. And we appreciate all the Chesed. We definitely missed some things this year. And I miss that alumni gathering. That's always a highlight of the year. That Shabbos, that's something magnificent, is something we weren't zeichet to yet. I'm hoping this summer we can have an alumni Shabbos somehow. Maybe in Lake George, we'll figure out how. But one of the treats that we get that Shabbos is we get to hear a shir from Motti Dahan. Many years Motti gave a shir. So certainly I still want that. We're not just being the Yayish from that. I want that gathering, and that shir from Motti will be zeicha. Hopefully sometime. But at least it's our honor that we should hear some Divrei Torah from Motti Dahan. So I'm going to present Motti. Yosef Sandler, I want you to hear Divrei Torah for a few minutes. From Motti Dahan, it's my honor to present Motti. Motti, if you talk, I think you're unmuted. Yeah, perfect. Hello, Motti. Excellent. Thank you for coming, Motti, for coming on all the way from Eretz Yisrael. Thank you very much. Good evening, Motti.
Thank you, Rabbi. So, Precious Rabbi, I just want to mention a ha'ara that I had on the nusach of the L'Shem Yichud that we say. And I saw an answer today that I want to share. Right, before we do many mitzvahs, so there's a L'Shem Yichud that many people say, which is really just like preparing yourself I guess like announcing to yourself, realizing what you're doing. If you're doing a mitzvah d'oraisa, a mitzvah d'rabanan, just like understanding what you're doing. Is it choppy or is it good? So that's basically what it is. You're really just getting clear what exactly you're doing, what type of mitzvah you're doing, getting yourself in the right mindset. Right, Rabbi Kalish, Rabbi does it every Friday night by Kiddush. Rabbi gets together everyone. He says, Rabbi said, let's do a mitzvah d'oraisa. It's the same Indian. That's the Indian of l'shem yichud, but there's a specific nusach that's generally printed in the siddur by many mitzvahs of this l'shem yichud. But specifically by the mitzvah Sfiras Omer, so this l'shem yichud gets a lot of airtime, and the reason for that is because, like Rabbi mentioned last night, that we paskin that Sfiras Omer is a mitzvah d'Rabbanan, but in the Rishonim we find that's actually a big machlokes in the Rishonim. The Rambam actually holds that Sfiras Omer is a mitzvah d'oraisa. The Rambam writes that Sfiras Omer is mitzvah d'oraisa. We'll just assume for now that that's because the Rambam holds that even though the pasuk says that you should bring the carbon Omer and then count Sfiras Omer, the Rambam understood that it's not completely contingent on bringing the carbon Omer, but that's a long schmooze really in and of itself. There's the Aruch HaShulchan, there's a Brisker Rav to understand why the Rambam holds that Sfiras Omer is d'oraisa, but we'll just go with that for now. Just that the Rambam holds that Sfiras Omer nowadays, even though nowadays we don't have a carbon Omer, nowadays Sfiras Omer could be d'oraisa. But most Rishonim hold that Sfiras Omer is only midrabanan nowadays, because since we don't have a carbon Omer, so therefore nowadays there's no mitzvah d'oraisa to count the Omer, and the mitzvah to count the Omer is d'rabanan, maybe just as a zecher l'mikdash. So that's why we do this mitzvah of Sfiras Omer. And there's actually a third shita, which seemed kind of funny, because whether or not Sfiras Omer is d'oraisa or d'rabanan, so it only sounds like it's two options. How could there be three opinions when there's only two options? And that's because there's a shita of Rabbeinu Yerucham. Rabbeinu Yerucham holds that there's a mitzvah d'oraisa to count days, and there's a mitzvah d'rabanan to count weeks. He splits it up. The mitzvah to count weeks nowadays is only midrabanan, and the mitzvah to count days is d'oraisa. Where he gets that from, it's because the pasuk, he reads that the pasuk says you should bring the carbon Omer, and then it says you should count 7 weeks, and then only afterwards it say, and you should another separate, like he learns that it's like a separate mitzvah, you should count 50 days and count the Shavuos. So he learns that the mitzvah to count weeks, that's dependent, that's contingent on the carbon, and since nowadays we don't have the carbon, so that's only midrabanan, as opposed to the mitzvah to count days, that the Torah never made contingent on the carbon, and therefore nowadays there's still a mitzvah d'oraisa to count days. There's a lot of nafkaminas in this. Just a cool Rav Pesach Frank actually learns. He uses this Rabbeinu Yerucham to explain the difference between the nusach of how we count between Ashkenazim and Sfardim. Ashkenazim count Sfira. So let's say today in America, I guess right now in Sfiras Omer. So Ashkenazim say Hayom Echad ve'Esrim Yom Shehem Shlosha Shavuos LaOmer. You say today is 21 days, which is 3 weeks, and at the end you say the word LaOmer to the Omer. Sfardim, we actually have a different nusach. We say what I counted last night was Hayom Echad ve'Esrim Yom LaOmer Shehem Shlosha Shavuos. Today is 21 days to the Omer, and then we count the weeks. We first count the days, and we say those are the days of the carbon Omer, because we're chayshish for this shita of Rabbeinu Yerucham that maybe the mitzvah to count days nowadays is d'oraisa, so we keep that separate. We want the bracha to just go on the days. After we count the days, then we do our mitzvah d'Rabbanan and we count the weeks. That's how Tzvi Pesach Frank explains our nusach. But there's really a lot of nafkaminas. Rabbeinu Yerucham holds that when we have the Beis HaMikdash back, Mirz Hashem soon, he says we're going to make 2 brachos in Sfiras Omer, one to count the days, one to count the weeks. Very fascinating Rabbeinu Yerucham. Maybe a different time, maybe during the summer. But just for our purposes, so there's a 3-way machlokas we showed in the Sfiras d'oraisa, d'Rabbanan, or this mix of Rabbeinu Yerucham. But like Rabbi mentioned last night, the Shulchan Aruch Paskins seems pretty clearly that Sfiras Omer is only midrabanan. So why does this L'Shem Yichud get airtime during Sfiras Omer? Because in the nusach of the L'Shem Yichud of the Rashash, when he brings down the nusach of L'Shem Yichud, so in the L'Shem Yichud, like we said before, you get to you proclaim to yourself what exactly you're doing, what type of mitzvah you're doing, if it's d'oraisa or d'Rabbanan. And in this nusach of L'Shem Yichud, so the nusach you say is that I'm getting ready to be mekayim a mitzvahs aseh. Shenemar usfartam lachem mimachos haShabbos says I'm getting ready to do a mitzvah aseh, like the Torah says, to count on the second day of Pesach. So the way we say it, the way it's printed in the siddur is, I'm getting ready to do a mitzvah saseh, as the pasuk says. It sounds very much like you're trying to say that you're doing a mitzvah d'oraisa. It sounds very much like you're trying to do a mitzvah d'oraisa, and therefore that's a problem, because we just said we paskin at spares to Omer's a mitzvah d'rabanan. And in this l'shem yichud, it sounds like you're saying that you're doing a mitzvah d'oraisa. And the Rambam says that if a person does a mitzvah, says about a mitzvah d'rabanan, he says about a mitzvah d'rabanan that it's d'oraisa, so he's over on the isser of Baal Tosef. They're not allowed to add to the mitzvahs. He says it about basar b'chalav. He says if you say that to eat chicken and chalav and milk is d'oraisa, even though really it's only midrabanan, if you say it's d'oraisa, you're over on Baal Tosef. So that's where this gets very problematic, this l'shem yichud, because we said that we pass and it's d'rabanan, and then in this l'shem yichud, you make it sound like you're doing a mitzvah d'oraisa, so you could potentially be being over on Baal Tosef if you say this exact nusach of the l'shem yichud. And the Paisim talk a lot about it, whether or not you're allowed to continue saying it. Maybe you should just take out that one line. A lot of different, in the siddurim, you have to, some siddurim have it like in brackets, different ways. Everyone should ask how exactly, if they say it, how exactly to say it. But in this l'shem yichud, and I wanted to just mention ha'ara, so the words that we say, so it starts off, it says l'shem yichud kutsha brichu shchinte. We say that I'm doing this for Hashem and His Shechina. It says b'dechilu urachimu udechilu. It says I'm doing this with fear and with love and fear. Le'achad Hashem yudke bevavke b'yechuda shalim. And I'll get to the next part in a second with my ha'ara. So then we say that we're doing this for Kadosh Baruch and the Shechina, and that there should be a togetherness between the Kadosh Baruch Hu and the Shechina. Very hard words to understand. So just before I get to the ha'ara, just what do those words mean? That we're doing this lashma for Hashem, for the Shechina. What are these words? So I found 4 times that this question was asked in Paiskim, what exactly these words mean. The first time I saw this question asked was in the 1600s. The Chavas Yair has a tshuva, and Chavas Yair says that he used to give a shir in his kehillah. He used to give a shir on the siddur, where he'd go through the words in the siddur, and he would just explain what the words in this, what are we saying? What do the words mean? And he says that he was in one of these shiurim once. He was at the shir, and they were in the room, and someone in the shir had a siddur that had this l'shem yichud in it. Some people said it, some people didn't at those times, it seems. And there was someone in the shir who had this l'shem yichud. And so he asked the Chavas Yair, he asked his Rebbe, hey, you skipped l'shem yichud. What do these words mean? L'shem yichud, kudsha brichu shchinte, what do those words mean? So the Chavas Yair said that he doesn't say it, he has no idea what those words mean, and he doubts that people who say it even knows what they mean. So that's the first time the question was asked, and we're left with no answer. Second time the question was asked was in the 1700s. 1700s, and Noda B'Yehuda was asked this question. Noda B'Yehuda was asked, what's with this l'shem yichud? What do these words mean? But he gave a little bit of a stronger tshuva, and he really didn't like it very much, the whole concept of l'shem yichud. He felt like it was a little bit made up. He was very nervous about it. He didn't want people to say it. He didn't like it very much. In fact, he has a Talmud, the Tshuva Me'ava, which was one of his closest Talmidim. The Tshuva Me'ava has a tshuva where he writes a story that he once saw that his Rebbe, the Noda B'Yehuda, had a really nice esrog for Sukkot. And someone came to his Rebbe, to the Noda B'Yehuda, and he asked him, do you mind, Rebbe, can I make a bracha on your esrog? It was a very fancy, it was a very expensive, very nice, very muhudar esrog. So the Talmud asked, do you mind if I make a bracha on your esrog? So Noda B'Yehuda said, sure. And he gave him his esrog. And this Talmud, he took the esrog and he started saying the l'shem yichud before making the bracha on the esrog. So the Noda B'Yehuda ripped it out of his hands, and he said, guy said, I don't want any l'shem yichud being said on my esrog. And he took it away from him. Very, very stark. Why was he so stark about it? So the Chida writes that you shouldn't take whatever he says you should take it with a grain of salt, whatever the Noda B'Yehuda says about this. You shouldn't really listen to what he has to say about this specific thing. He says you have to know the history of when he lived. He lived right after a very hard time in Klal Yisrael's history. It was right after the whole saga of Shabtai Tzvi, and where Klal Yisrael was a little bit desperate. We were desperate for Mashiach, and Shabtai Tzvi came, and a lot of Klal Yisrael fell for it. They were looking for inspiration. They needed something to hold on to. And Noda B'Yehuda was worried that if people were doing these things that we didn't really understand, it was Kabbalistic, it was very hard to understand, so people he was nervous of something else like this happening again. And that's why anything that had to do with Kabbalah or l'shem yichud, these types of things, he was very stark against it. But the Chida says you shouldn't necessarily listen. You just have to understand where he's coming from. That's where he's coming from. But really, he already has sources in the Zohar, where Shimon Bar Yochai writes about it. and Rizal talk about it. It's much earlier, as earlier sources, and therefore don't take what he says too seriously. And really, it's okay to say the l'shem yichud. But we're still left with no answer what these words mean. So 1600s, 1700s. So that will jump to the 1800s, the 1900s, and in the 1900s, the Ben Ish Chai was asked this. 1800s. In the 1800s, the Ben Ish Chai was asked this question. It's actually the Ben Ish Chai's very first tshuva that he writes about in his sefer Rav Palim. The very first tshuva the shaila he was asked was, what do these words mean? Kutsha brichu shchinte. That was the first shaila. Now, if you read the tshuva, so the very hard to understand. I'm pretty sure a lot of those words are those words you're just supposed to scan with your eyes and not say with your lips, like it says in the siddur. Very hard tshuva to understand. So I learned that tshuva. I had no idea what it was talking about. So I'll get to the fourth time this shaila was asked. It was a few months ago. I asked Rabbi Hillel. I mentioned to him, I saw this tshuva of the Ben Ish Chai. It says, L'shem yichud kutsha brichu shchinte, trying to understand what it means. The Ben Ish Chai writes this tshuva, and I think I'm more confused than when I started. So I asked him, is that if he started me? Do I not understand it? Is it maybe I'm not supposed to understand it? It comes later in life we can understand these types of things. He said, no, it's very simple to understand. It shouldn't be too complicated to understand. He told me that he's working on writing a pirush on a siddur that he didn't publish yet, but he has it. And he said he wrote a piece on what these words mean. And he said it's very simple to understand. And he told me that I should come to him and I should get a copy. He said he didn't print it yet, but he'll make a copy of it for me. And then that's when all this virus thing came out, and so I never got a chance to see it yet. So we're still don't really have something yet, but hopefully that'll hopefully be the treat for the summer. So still not completely sure what those words mean, but either way, then the next words are like very interesting words. So we say this whole l'shem yichud, that we're doing this for Hashem, and then we say b'shem kol Yisroel. This one's for Klal Yisrael. And before we do our mitzvah, we're doing Sfiras HaOmer, let's say. So we say we're doing this for Hashem, and then we say B'Shem Kol Yisrael, and I'm doing this one for Klal Yisrael. It's like a very funny thing to do. Like you're doing a mitzvah, like especially a lot of people now, you're in the privacy of your own home, you're in your own room. You're like, all right, this one's for Klal Yisrael. What does that mean? Why all of a sudden are we? The mush I could think of was like I was imagining like a baseball player getting up to bat, like a Yankee guy. And he was getting up to bat. He's like, all right, this one's for New York. Let's go. Like, relax, like do your mitzvah. What's this one's for Klal Yisrael. What are we saying? So I looked into a little bit today. I saw an interesting answer. The Lahiris Nassan, Rav Nassan Gestetner. So he was nifted about 10 years ago. He was a Rosh Yeshiva in Bnei Brak. And he used to, it seems like from the sefer is called Sichos that he gave on by the Malav Malka. It's like many volumes, I guess. I'm saying in general, he wrote many Sfarim. It seems like he had a Malav Malka where he gave a shir every Motzei Shabbos, and he ended up making a sefer on these shiurim. So during one of these shiurim, he alluded to this answer that he said about these words. What does it mean that we say B'Shem Kol Yisrael? And I'll just be makdim with Gemara and Shabbos. I have an uncle actually whose Shlosha was just yesterday, and used to quote this Gemara and Shabbos and say this pshat. So I want to just say it over. It should be Ilod Nishmasa. So he said over that the Gemara in Shabbos says, there's a famous Gemara, most people know this Gemara, that a certain guy came to Shammai. This guy came to Shammai and he said, he stood on one leg. He said, I want you to teach me the whole Torah while I'm on one leg, and then I'm going to convert. So Shammai kicked him out. So the guy went to Hillel. The guy went to Hillel and he says to Hillel, I want you to teach me the whole Torah while I stand on one foot, and then I'm ready to become a Jew. Only if you could teach me the whole Torah while I stand on one foot, then I'm in. So Hillel says to him, all right, no problem. And he says to him, what you don't like, don't do to your friend. Basically, in short, in his own words, the mitzvah of v'hafta l'orecha kamocha. Whatever you don't like, don't do to your friend. So my uncle said over this Gemara, and he asked the question. He said, why was this guy so adamant about standing on one leg to learn the entire Torah? But why did he care so much? Did he dafka want to stand on one leg to learn the whole Torah? He couldn't stand on two legs and learn the whole Torah? What's this thing that he had to be standing on one leg? And then also, what was Hillel's answer? How could Hillel, there's 613 mitzvahs, and Hillel gives him one mitzvah. He just tells him the mitzvah of v'hafta l'orecha kamocha. How is that teaching him the whole Torah? Hillel tells him that's the whole Torah, and the rest is just the pirush. How is that the whole Torah, just one mitzvah? How is that the entire Torah? So he used to say over that the Zohar says that a person's comes down into this world, and the only way he could fully fix his neshama is if he does all 613 mitzvahs. When he comes up to Shemaim, if he does all 613 mitzvahs, so then he could stay up there. But until then, he has to come back down until he could complete all 613 mitzvahs. How could the person complete all 613 mitzvahs? It's not really so shaykh, because there's some mitzvahs which aren't you're not chayven. I'm not a kohen, so I can't do berachas kehanim, and there's some mitzvahs that a kohen can't do, and there's some mitzvahs that women can't do. So how does one do all 613 mitzvahs? Says the Zayar, through the mitzvah of v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. That if you connect and if you feel like you're one with someone else, so then when the other person does the mitzvah, so it's considered like you did the mitzvah also, because we're one. There's not two people over here. I'm the same. We're one people. We're all one person. So therefore, when that person does the mitzvah, so then it's like you did the mitzvah as well. So my uncle said, I think he quoted the Chassam Sofer, who says that that's the pshat. This guy came to Hillel and he said, I want to become a Jew, but I heard all about this Gilgulim thing. I don't like it very much. I want to be able to do it on one leg. I want to do it in one lifetime, in one thing. I don't want to have to come back down here again. Teach me the whole Torah while I stand on one foot. If you could teach me the whole thing, all I have to know that I could do it in one lifetime, then I'm in. So Hillel told him the mitzvah of v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. That if you do the mitzvah of v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, so then you only have to come down here one time. If you connect with every other Jew, so then you only have to do this mitzvah one time. So said Rav Nassim Gestetner, based off that, he said that's what we're doing. When we do a mitzvah, so we say we're doing this for all of Klal Yisrael. B'Shem Kol Yisrael, we want everyone to get included in this mitzvah, because this way everyone could complete all 613 mitzvahs. You know, like women don't, they're definitely not chayev, and a lot of them don't count Sfiras Omer. Sfardim, especially Sephardi women, don't do any mitzvah seish as man grama. Amongst Ashkenazim, by Sfiras Omer at least, a lot of women don't. So how could everyone get the credit? So we say we're doing this b'shem kol Yisrael. It's a little bit interesting just because it's, you know, I can understand when I could connect with your mitzvah because I feel like one with you. Here we're going the reverse. Here I could give you the mitzvah through me connecting with you. I could actually give you the mitzvah. It's definitely taking it a little bit further, but I just thought it was like a very interesting thing, just a cool like musar. Like every time you do a mitzvah, so you know you're thinking like you're in private, you're in your own room and you're doing your own private mitzvah, and all of a sudden you just say b'shem kol Yisrael, and you have in mind all of Klal Yisrael every single time you do a mitzvah. It's not just right, this L'Shem Yichud, it gets a lot of airtime, we said, by Sfiras Omer, but they have it by all mitzvahs. If you open up a Sephardi Seder, you'll see it by everything. Before Modani, you'll have a L'Shem Yichud, and then before you take a right step, L'Shem Yichud, everything you do, there's a L'Shem Yichud. And it's just a cool thing. Every time you do a mitzvah, you think it's a personal avoda, and this L'Shem Yichud shows you how it's really everything's for all of Klal Yisrael.
Wow. That was incredible. That was incredible. Really, really, really appreciate it. I want to express something. I appreciate Motti's Divrei Torah tremendously. I want to first call on Elisha Edelman for a minute. If I can find Elisha Edelman, we're looking for him. Hold steady, Rabbi. Say, Elisha, you're unmuted.
Everyone, you can hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay,
Everybody can hear you.
Yesterday, first of all, Motti, incredible. I loved it. Amazing. I just wanted to say, after Rabbi finished yesterday, I literally wrote down in my notes. I was like, why is sphere not deraisa? That's what I wrote after the shir. Boy, did Motti answer that question. Motti, thank you. I appreciate
Alicia.
it.
I love you, Alicia. Thank you. Thank you, Motti, for answering all of Alicia's questions. Thank you. I want to say to everybody, it was a schos and a pleasure to hear Motti's Torah, but there was a specific, I did not tell him this, that before we hear Yisroel Neuman sing a song and we learn the Torah today, there's something I want to tell the whole chevra. I only mix ashvach b'fanav. I'm not coming to praise Motti, I'm coming to demand from all of us. I want to say that Motti's hasmada is unique to Motti. Not all of us could be a masmid like Motti. Motti's erudition, his scholarly knowledge, not everybody could be as erudite as Motti. That's for sure. But there's something that I want for us all and wanted Motti to speak because I believe all of us can be. Please hear this, Rabbi say. It is so important to me that the B'nai Torah, when we hear somebody express Yiddishkeit, both the halachos of Yiddishkeit, both the ashkafos of Yiddishkeit, don't think it's a mile, wow, he's a good speaker. Motti is a good speaker, and it's good to be a good speaker. We have to communicate Yiddishkeit. You're all going to lead a Seder one day and give over to your children the Messiah Satira. So it's good to be a good speaker, but that's not what you just heard. It is my dream and my prayer that every Ben Torah should be able to articulate Torah. It's not a level, a quality of speaking. It's a quality of understanding. It means that you're honest. It means that you ask questions, that you really seek to know. It's not a mile and a good ability to speak. My dream is we can call any bacher to stand up, and I've seen this, and a guy can articulate. In Nevardik, the Alter Nevardik would call on any bacher in the yeshiva, and he would ask a Musar question that he was thinking about, and he would speak about the topic in an articulate way that he was working on in his life. The dream is that everybody should know you can connect to Hashem. Torah is accessible and knowable. It's so important to have a clarity in our learning, in our growth, in our avodas Hashem. The ability to communicate is not a separate skill. He's a good speaker, she's a good speaker, she's not, he is. It's the ability to articulate Yiddishkeit. It's the clarity that one can study, one can seek to know, one can work on knowing and really understand and have a clarity. That is why I wanted Motti Dahan, Rav Motti Dahan, to speak to the Olam. And I say to us all, challenge ourselves to have a clarity in Yiddishkeit by being honest, by asking questions, by seeking to really understand. Don't try to keep pace with the guy next to you. Don't try to fit in. Seek to understand. Ask questions. Review. Be makbid on clarity. Be makbid on very, getting things clear and exact. That's so important to me. If we do that, then we'll be able to articulate Yiddishkeit. So to me, this is the dream of the Ben Torah, that in all topics, halacha and hashkafa, can clearly articulate Yiddishkeit. I have much I want to share with the Olam today. I want to thank Nasan Engber. It means a lot that you're here. It's an honor to have you here. Shmuley Kushner's here. Whenever you come, Shmuley, we feel fortunate. Elio Pearl, you were outstanding last night. Outstanding. Thank you for that. I was better than eating that cake, was seeing that cake. And Aaron Mattel from Eretz Yisroel, thank you so much for being here. Morty Levovitz. Let's hear a song from Yisroel Neuman. I am moved by Ben Torah's ability to articulate Yiddishkeit in halacha and hashkafa. I'm very, very moved right now. I'm excited. So it's a good segue to go to another Ben Torah who articulates Yiddishkeit in a beautiful way. Yisroel Neuman, sing for the Chevra. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you, Rabbi. The song I picked, Hatayv. I think Reb Matt sang it earlier, but it definitely deserves another try. It says that just because the last line of the song, the first line is Hatayv kilo chalurachamecha v'amrachim kilo samchazdecha. The one who is good because his kindness never ends, and the merciful one whose mercy is kindness never ends. And then the next part, his kindness never ends because we've always looked to him for help. We've always seen him. So I was just thinking last night it really goes the other way around. No, one would think that first what happens is first you see all the goodness of Hashem and everything that he does, and then you're kivinu loi, and then you look to him and you yearn for him and you want to listen. So why does it say Kima Elam Kavinulach? For we have always looked to you. That's why he's Hatayv Yilcharach. What's going on? So I was just thinking that many times a lot of people, we're surrounded by a lot of beautiful and good things, but we never see it as good, and sometimes you don't see it as beautiful, and we're not able to see it. But when someone's looking for Hashem in his life, he'll find that Hashem's not just in his life, but he'll see him in everything. And he'll see him in every apple he eats, and every buttered popcorn is going to be like a Ma'aridik gift from Hashem. So the song speaks to me a lot. So here we go.
Thank you.
Hatayv Kilai Chalu Rachamecha Oive Hamerachem Hatayv Kilai Chalu Rachamecha Oive Hamerachem Kilai Samu Kilai Samu I Kilai Samu Chasadecha Kimei Olam Kivinu La I Kimei Olam Kivinu La Kimei Olam Kivinu La.
Wow. Wow. You just got me in deep trouble from a few hundred peoples. Why didn't you ask this guy to sing earlier? You got me in
Thank
deep.
you. Thank you very much, Rabbi.
I thought it can't get any prettier than the violin, but there was a voice behind that violin that's prettier.
Thank you very
Wow.
much, Rabbi Shkai. Thank you for the schus. Thank you.
Thank you, Yisroel. We will be hearing that again. I am in a very, very good mood, having heard clear Torah from Motti, articulate Torah, and then Yisroel singing Ki me'olam kivinu lach. Wow. Rabbi say, in Parshas Kedoshim, so Hashem is mitzavas. This week we're going to learn Achrei Mos Kedoshim. And in Kedoshim, Hashem's mitzavas, Leisisnes achicha bilvavecha. Do not hate your friend in your heart. Give Musar. The Rambam in Hilchas Deis, the Rambam in Perek Vav of Hilchas Deis says as follows: if a person sins one to another, if somebody does something wrong to us, don't be angry and silent. Don't hate him and be silent. Like it says concerning wicked people, that Avshalom didn't tell Amnon Me'uma anything. L'meiravad Toiv Kisani Avshalom es Amnon. Avshalom hated Amnon, and he was a rasha because he didn't tell him. El mitzvah love loidiya. You have to tell your friend if you're angry at him. V'loimer lo. You have to say to him, Lama asisili kach v'kach. Tzechiyav daraisa. If you're angry at somebody, you are obligated to tell him, why did you do this? V'lama chatasili b'dvar ploni. Why did you sin to me? Shenemer echiach techiach esamisecha. The Rambam says it's a mitzvah daraisa. If somebody wrongs us, if we are upset and have a tain on somebody, we have an obligation daraisa to tell somebody. It's aser daraisa to hold it in. If you forgive them completely to the depths of your being, you're allowed to forgive somebody who wrongs you. But if you don't forgive them, you are obligated to make a call or in person to tell somebody. It's a mitzvah daraisa. A yid has to wear tzitzis. A yid has to wear tefillin. A yid has to sit in a sukkah. A yid has to count sfiras omer. A yid is obligated. If you have a taina on your friend, he wronged you, she wronged you, somebody did something wrong, you are not allowed. It is usher to just be quiet. It's an isser daraisa. Don't hate him in your heart. Give him musr. Ask him. It hurt me. It's very difficult to be vulnerable like this. Extremely difficult to be vulnerable, to go up to somebody and say, it hurt me when you said that. It shows you can hurt me. We don't like saying we're men. We don't like admitting anybody can hurt us. It's very hard to do, to tell somebody. Now, if you can forgive them fully, let's say somebody wrongs you and you can forgive them fully, you're not obligated to say. Srili Rubin asked, how long do you have? Joshi Blatter, I believe, asked Reb Berkowitz. I had a few Bachrim, went up to Reb Berkowitz and asked him the question. From my understanding and what he answered, if it's not what he's saying, then I'll say it, but he's not comparing. Reb Berkowitz is an Adam Gadol, and I am Offer Ve'efer, can't be dirt on his feet. But what I want to say to the Chevra is that what's the time? Let's say I'm upset at somebody and I want to be Michael them, but it's going to take me time. If you still have hope to be Michael and you're working to be Michael them, you just feel you need a week, a month, or 3 months, but it's actually progressing. You're working on yourself to forgive. Kolzman, you're still trying to forgive. You don't have to tell the person. But if you can't forgive, then you are obligated midaraisa. You're not working on it, you're just upset. You have a chiyuv daraisa, a tremendously hard mitzvah, but we follow the Ratzon Hashem. We speak a lot in yeshiva and we do exercises on people being honest and articulate. This is not a cute thing and a shtick of the yeshiva. To be an emes stika yid, you have to be honest. If people carry inside of them grudges and pains, unexplained, unarticulated, they are over asurim daraisa. It's not a nice mile in yeshiva that people are taught to express. Expression is not acute, it's not a new topic in psychology. It's a mitzvah daraisa, it's a chiyuv mandated by God, that if you have a time, it's very hard to do it. But how much greatness, how much shalom would emerge if somebody would call up somebody in a sweet way and say, it's just me, I'm sensitive. When you said that, it hurt me. And the person would say, well, I only said it because you said, and they would work it out. And I'll pee ruba, they'd end up being friends. It's such an important mitzvah daraisa if you have a taina on somebody, to call them, to express it. Again, if we can be Michael, if we can work on it, that you can be Michael. So Matt Levin asked, let's say if it takes a long time to find out, I can't be Michael. At that point, I'm obligated. Rarely would it make it worse. Rarely, and we follow mitzvahs Hashem. But it's obvious that if we follow mitzvahs Hashem, if we listen to the mitzvahs Hashem, we're always better off. Now we could take the time we need. If we couldn't forgive, that's fine. This is so important. This mitzvah important. Every mitzvah daraisa is important, but there's a mitzvah daraisa. Risha'im, they smile and they carry on in a nice way, and inside they're upset. The Torah tells us about the Ache Yosef. It speaks about the praise of them. They couldn't just smile at Yosef and be nice. They were way too honest and real. They were authentic people that if they felt the taina, they had to express it. They were real people. If they had a taina, they had to express it. Of course, you're allowed to forgive somebody, and you could take the time to forgive somebody. That is totally in bounds. But always remember, this mitzvah, such an important mitzvah, that if something's inside of you, start to make sure to tell the person, speak it out. It takes a lot of humility. We had a gathering in yeshiva. I want to wish a mazel tov. The Bernak family's on, and Baruch Hashem, Eli had a baby boy yesterday. The bris should be be'ita of his manish. Megadol his son, l'toyra l'chopla meisim tovim. Mazel tov Yechiel, Yehuda, Eli, the ganze Bernak mishpacha. Rabbi said we had a gathering on Eli and Dani's yard site where we spoke about friendship. And in this, there was a lot of dialogue back and forth where we worked on the topic of friendship. And many people spoke up and said wonderful things. But Ezra Shulman finally jumped in the fray, and he said something. He said, we're all saying nice eitzes for friendship, but there's like an elephant in the room. We don't want to say that for real relationship, you have to be willing to be vulnerable. To say to somebody that it hurt, you're not ripping them, don't attack. The mitzvah d'oraisa is not to attack, it's to express. It could be my own sensitivities, you never meant it. The mitzvah d'oraisa, if you attack, you can't blame that on Hashem. Iveles adam tisal darka vel Hashem yizam libay. People make mistakes and blame it on God all the time. The mitzvah d'oraisa is in a thoughtful way, think it through. Even to parents, but respectfully, utmost, that dad, when you said that, I'm not blaming, I just want to say that I was hurt. If we're Michael, if the person's Michael, then wonderful. But it's healthy, and Ezra Shulman pointed out that if we want meaningful, deep relationships and friendships, one has to be vulnerable to his friend. All the niceties that we were talking about friendship at that VAD, at that Musar meeting, Ezra Shulman chimed in and brilliantly taught us that if we want friendship, we have to be vulnerable to the next person. And saying that I was hurt, I was offended, it's very hard for us strong people, nothing hurts me, to say, yeah, it did hurt me. It was difficult when you said that. The amount of times, Rabbi say, that it works out, that it causes friendship. Of course, when you follow the Torah, good things happen. But this is an important mitzvah for all to be aware of. And Pashat, keep mitzvahs Hashem, be loyal to Hashem. It's very difficult. I remember once a bacher was talking to me and my wife and was expressing, and I said, you're mechuyev to tell, you're mechuyev to say, my wife said, you're being so hard on the guy. It's like impossible. The Torah demands a lot from us. It demands from us, but it also gives us such possibilities of greatness. Mitzvahs Hashem, we're alive for mitzvahs. This might be one of the hardest mitzvahs in the Torah at certain scenarios, but we keep mitzvahs Hashem. I know I'm over time. I asked Mechila. I don't usually do this, but I want to share another mitzvah on the parsha that's too exact for the situation we're in. And then I want to share something else with the Olam. I asked Mechila, but I want to share, if you have tainas on me that I went over time, you're mechuyev to tell me. So tell me privately or publicly. But I want to share something else with the chevra that we've learned before. I'll make it fast, Rabbi say. We have beautiful friends amongst us. I'm proud to say in yeshiva, that an articulate place, that guys are good with this, that I've seen this, a guy come up, say it hurt me when you said that, in the most thoughtful ways, and it done right. Again, it doesn't say how to tell the person, that Hashem leaves to our seichel, to our understanding, how to communicate. You don't make them the guilty one. It's my own sensitivity, and you say it softly with understanding. The end is great shalom. That's what happens. I want to share a Gemara with the Olam. I learned with Yaakov and Manny a Gemara connected to this. I just have to share this with you. We've learned this before. Excuse me, Reb Motti. So, Yisroel, I love you. So we learned this Reb Motti before, and I want to learn this again. In this week's parashas, the mitzvah d'oraisa lifnei iver loisitei michshal. In front of a blind person, don't put a stumbling block. The mitzvah d'oraisa, not to cause somebody to sin. Lifnei iver loisitei michshal. Chazal teach us, don't cause another yid to sin. Is an isser d'oraisa of putting a stumbling block in front of a blind person. So I want to study a Gemara Kedushin Daf Lamed Beis. Motti ignited my heart today. So let's learn a Gemara Lamed Beis, a Gemara Leiv in Kedushin. The Gemara Kedushin says the following story. Aaron Metz, listen to this story. Yosef Dovi, listen to this Maisa. I think it talks to us in our situation in a beautiful way. It's so good to see the light of brothers. Sheves Achim Gam Yochad, each one precious. Thank you for being here, light of brothers. Listen, Kovi, listen, Chevra, to this Gemara Kedushin Lamed Beis. The Gemara says as follows: Rev Huna Kara Shiroi Ba'anpe Rabbavrei. Rev Huna ripped up a garment in front of his son Rabba Amar, and he said, Rev Huna said, Ezel, I would go. I'll go. Echsi, I'll see. Rasach, Eloi Rasach. He wanted to test his son to see if his son will get mad. He ripped up a garment in front of his son to see if his son would get mad. Let me test my kid out. Frek the Gemara Kasha V'Dilma Rasach. How did he test him out, his son? Maybe his son will get angry. Rev Huna's putting a stumbling block in front of a blind man. He's causing his son to sin. He's ripping up the garment. It's going to get his son angry. Lifnei Iver. It's Lifnei Iver Leisitei Michshal. Lest his son get angry, and he might sin, and he might get angry. And Rashi explains, and it's Mivur in the Gemara, that it means maybe the son will say something nasty to his father, transgressing kibbut aveim, or more specifically, Myra of parents. How did Rev Huna rip up a garment in front of his son? Maybe he'll get his son angry, and his son will break kibbut aveim, will say something nasty to his dad. It's lifnei iver. Now, as an aside, Rabbi says, a good shaila. Thank you, Tzion, for being here. There's a good shaila. You over lifnei iver if you put a stumbling block in front of the iver, but he doesn't trip. Let's say I give an aveira to somebody, but they're not nechshel. It depends how to read this Gemara. The Gemara says that had Rav Huna rip up a garment in front of his son, maybe he'll get angry and you'll be over lifnei iver. Does the Gemara mean since he might get angry, you're over lifnei iver even if he doesn't? Or does the Gemara mean maybe you'll get angry, and if he gets angry, then you'll be over? That's totally on this Chakira. Nonetheless, the Gemara asks, had he rip up a garment, maybe his son will get angry at him and say something that will break the mitzvah of honoring and fearing our parents. Answers the Gemara, Rev Huna forgave him. Rev Huna was Michael. A parent could be Michael, their honor. So Rev Huna forgave him before he ripped it up. He knew before, I'm not going to have any tainas, I don't mind. So if so, he was allowed to rip it up. Then the Gemara asks, how did Rev Huna rip up the garment? He's over Baltashchus. That's the sugya I just learned in Achayva with Yaakov and Menachem. He was over Baltashchus. Really, I have a big kasha on that. What was the Gemara's kasha that it's Baltashchus? It's not a waste at all. He was checking out his son. He wanted to gain awareness of his son. What's the Gemara's kasha Baltashchus? There's a taisvis in Achayva that we have to study. It's a good question. Is that Baltashchus? If you have a good purpose, but not the standard purpose, l'chayr, it's not Baltashchus. We know a Rebbe of ours once took money and ripped it up to bring out in a schmooze. He wanted to show we overvalue money. Is that Baltashchus? He said it was the best use of the $5 ever, that he ripped it up. That was a good use of it. So yesh laden, it could be the Gemara only asked Baltashchus because it means, isn't there another way to learn this? So the Gemara answers the Avilei B'Pumbaini. He did it on the seams. He ripped it up on the seams. So this way, it wasn't Baltashchus. It can easily be sewed. Now, Lemaisa, to sew it, time is money, but the Gemara means whatever avada, the heter is to do it because there's a use. This is called the use, but it means if you could do it on the seams, the less hashchasa, the better. So you could ask, it's Baltashchus because it still costs time and money to sew it up. There was a purpose here. It's not Baltashchus. The Gemara is saying whatever you could do to be mimayit, that's the Gemara meant. Now the kash on the Gemara, Rabbi say, is the Gemara asked lifnei iver. When Rav Huna ripped up the garment in front of Rabbah, it's lifnei iver. Answers the Gemara, he was Michael his honor. And the question is, why isn't there lifnei iver on the anger? Frek Yoel Rachmani, I love you, Yoel. Frek Yoel Rachmani asked the kasha on the chat. Bless your soul. Thank you, Yoel Rachmani. What happened to lifnei iver on the anger? It's usher. Kol hakoyes, kol minei gehenim sholtem bay. The Gemara in Nedarim, kas is usher. Frek Yoel Rachmani. Why isn't it lifnei iver on the kas? The Gemara only asks lifnei iver on the breach in kibbut aveim, and on that the Gemara says he was Michael. What about lifnei iver on the kas? Yoel, excellent, excellent. Ari Nachlan asked the kasha, excellent. The chat is lit up. He's lit up. He's lit up with this question. Shimi Schiller asks, what does it help he was Michael? The kid doesn't know he's Michael. Why does it help he's Michael? The kid doesn't know he's Michael. Excellent, Kasha Shemi Schiller. So weiter it's lifnei iver. If somebody's niskada lechol basar chazir v'olsa biyadoi basar tleis, Hashem yislach la. She needs a kapara. So it's Dahan avera. Eisen a Kasha Shemi. I have a pshat. We'll speak privately. Shibli neder. I owe you a pshat, Shims, on that discussion. But I want to get to the kasha that lit up the chat. What happened to lifnei iver? Ari Nachman's kasha, Yoel Rachmani's kasha. What happened to lifnei iver on the kas? Now the truth is, if you follow to the end of the Gemara later on says that he already was angry. It was Eden Rische. But the problem is the Gemara says that later, and the Gemara didn't know that at the point it asked lifnei iver. So I admit, one could answer that after the maskana of the Gemara, he already was the kas. There was no lifnei iver on the kas. So you could answer like that. The problem is the Gemara didn't know that right now. Yoel Rachmani and Aaron, I want to tell the whole chevra, b'derech efsher, perhaps there's no lifnei iver on kas. On getting somebody angry, there's no lifnei iver. Why? Listen to this. They're actions of Aveira and they're bad midos. They're actions of Aveira and bad midos. A ma'isa Aveira, if you give somebody chazer, chas v'shom, they eat it, lifnei iver. If you give somebody food and they don't make a bracha, lifnei iver, you tell a person, make a bracha, remind them. So certainly, lifnei iver, certainly, on an action of Aveira's lifnei iver. What I want to claim on a midah, Rabbi say, kas is a midah. Kas is a midah. Somebody on the chat brilliantly said, is kas an Aveira? The kas is not an Aveira, only acting on the kas. I want to explain, Rabbi say, that certainly kas, anger itself, is something to work on. The Mesilas Yesharim we've learned together describes that a person, it takes time. We're human beings. And we don't work on anger by saying, I'm not angry. We work on anger by slowly expressing our anger, talking back to it, working on it. You don't get rid of anger by denying anger. Much like Hashem was mitzaveh, we don't tell a person, we have a mitzvah daraisa. You don't say, I'm not angry at him. That's an isser daraisa. Say, I'm upset. We have to say, I'm angry, and you talk back to your feelings. The way feelings work are you express it to yourself. I'm angry. Then you validate it. It makes sense I'm angry. And then you talk back to your emotions. That's the 3-step plan. Identify your emotion, validate your emotion, and talk back to your emotion. So, of course, the Mesilas Yesharim describes that we can become not angry people. He describes the Madrega of Hillel, he describes all these different levels. And the Spitz Madrega is Hillel eliminated kas with much, much work. But what I want to say, Rabbi say, a guy told me, Kobe, listen to this, a guy told me I'm not playing ball anymore. So I say, why'd you quit basketball? I haven't hit a shot in 10 years and I still haven't quit. Mechatesi, you quit basketball. Why'd you quit basketball? So the guy said, I quit playing because I see I get angry on the court. I don't want to get angry anymore. Now, I told this guy that it's true we're supposed to avoid situations. But if that's your approach, you're wrong here. Because here, even if you don't play ball, that kas is in you. The situation exposes the kas. It doesn't create the kas. Kas comes, why are you getting angry when you play ball? It comes from something up here in your mind that's off. Some thoughts like, what's wrong with this guy that he's not better at sports? He messed up my game, gaiva, ayin ra. It comes from all dayos that are off. And a person has to work on his dayos. He has to talk to himself calmly. What am I impatient with another player on my team? The kas was not born at that moment. When the guy stops playing ball, he didn't cure his kas. It's just not exposed. We all actually should know when a midah is exposed, it wasn't created at that moment. It only was shown at that moment. The midah is there. If he never plays a game of basketball in his life, but every time he plays, he has kas, his answer, stop playing, don't stop playing, it has no shaykhus. He must work. Why does he get mad at other people? He must work. It's there whether another person sees it or not. The midah is there. The attribute is very, very, very much there. So I want to say there's no lifnei iver on kas because the fact that you brought it out didn't create the avera. It's not a mais avera, it's a midah. The midah was there whether you brought it out or not. That's why there's no lifnei iver on kas. You shouldn't try to get somebody angry. First of all, it's a dangerous exercise, and it's none of our business to get somebody angry. But the father who's working with his son, try to expose a midah. What I want to say to us all, being up in our bunkers, that certainly there are moments being with family and being in tight quarters can create challenges. I don't say to purposely set it up, but I say when midas are exposed, work with them. I notice I get impatient. Define what you're feeling, validate it, it's normal, and then talk back, work with it. Work with it. Take advantage. When a midah raz exposed, instead of saying, I'm so upset that happened, instead of saying that, I don't say to force it, chas v'shalom. I don't say to purposely trigger. Don't do that. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying Hashem will give us opportunities. But when it's exposed, sit down and work through the midah. I think at a time that we're so tight together, I'll tell you a story. And this story is fascinating. Menachem Amina and I were talking to the local pediatrician, a good friend of mine, is a doctor. And he told me that he had clients who said to him that I never used to get angry till I had children. So my kids created kas. And he was laughing, their lack of understanding. The kas was in you the whole time. If kids didn't make your kas, life has different challenging circumstances. The kas was there. That guy who never plays a game in his life, again, that kas still lives in him. He has to analyze, what is it? What am I thinking? What am I feeling? It is frustrating. It was a tight game, but I don't think the guy messed up on purpose. I think the guy has a right to exist. The guy is a right. You'd be surprised that I know good ball players who deep down hold that the kid who's not as good as them has no right to play in the game. That's a ridiculous shita. His kas looks like irrational kas. It really comes from a shita that the guy who's weaker shouldn't be playing. That's a crazy shita. He has to sit down. Every guy has a right to play. He also has a right to be, and a right to give effort, and a right to be on the court. So we have to sit down with our emotions and ask myself, what's frustrating me? I'm upset. It is frustrating. A tight game. A guy turned it over. A guy lost the ball. It is frustrating. What is my emotion? Validate it, but 1 second. Let me talk back. He also has a right. He's also trying. He'll talk back to the emotion, analyze the emotion. So Rabbi said like this, on the pu'ula of Moira aim, you can't say that's a ma'isa avera. On a Maisa Averas Lifnei Iver Lesite Nichshal, if you cause somebody to do a Maisa. But on the Midah, there's no Lifnei Iver on Kas, perhaps, because the Midah is there whether he gets angry or not. You bringing out the Kas did not cause an Aver, there's no Aver of Kas. The Midah is there side by side, there's no Lifnei Iver on exposing somebody's Midah. Lemaisa, all I want to say practically is when we have exposed some Kas or something, to gently and calmly sit down with ourselves and work through our feelings by figuring out what am I feeling, validate what I'm feeling, and talk back to the feeling. You'd be surprised that we can get to the Madregas the Mesilas Yesharim talks about, which he talks about a person. He brings terrible levels of Kas, raging, to less raging, to a tzaddik who has Kas, but he keeps his das fully, to Hillel who doesn't get angry. We can limit, Kas is in our control, but not by saying I'm not angry. By working on it in a profound way, talking to ourselves, figuring it out, by a person working out and resolving, we can work on this. But it comes, the two topics we spoke about today are one topic. I didn't want to stop in the middle. I asked Michaela, because it's one topic. It's one topic of getting in touch with feelings that are inside. This is Torah. We're learning Nar Torah over here. If Punk, there's a psychology book that's Mechavin, Matovim, Anoyim, Matchachim, Bagoyim, Tamim, but we're learning Torah here. This is mitzvahs daraisa. This is our commands of the Torah. Commands of the Torah of Leisistas Achicha B'Vavecha. Commands of the Torah of working Kas, of eliminating Kas. Demands of the Torah. Kol HaKoyes, Kol Minei Genim Sholtem, by really working on our anger. So I just say in our situation, if we feel that Kas hits us, we have to sit down and analyze. What did I feel? Validate why I felt, and then talk back from a raid. So this is extremely, extremely important. Raid, of course, this topic, I see the chat has blown up, and I can't do, I'm very bad, two things at once. I only saw some, I have no intention. I did not read about a tenth of what was written, and I want to read everything. I'll try after the shir. It's only Rashi Prakim. Everybody knows this is a topic we could spend the rest of the day on Zoom, but there won't be a second Seder and a night Seder. But I came only to start a conversation. Certainly, this is a conversation in all our shiur, and will continue. I thank Yoel Rahmani and Ari Nachman for asking that beautiful question and to bring up this discussion. Thank you, Yonatan Klecki. I do want to thank the Olam for joining. I want to hear, we just have to say hello to Matt. There can't be a share that we didn't say hello to Matt. Let's say hello to Matt Levin. Thank you, Yehuda Sulin, for being here. Thank you. Matt, you're unmuted, Matt.
Me and you know good and well, we all are dying to hear your words. So it would be wrong to get off at 2:40. Let's make it a new thing that when Rebbe has to go, Imamish, he's got to go. But don't go on our cheshbon, please.
It's amazing what you've done for us all, Matt. One Ernst Yid, you lifted up a whole world. On the Yom of Rishon, Matt, we speak about one person who grows, and we say Zed Dar Darshav, it produces a generation of seekers. Your chizuk has just lifted up our whole chabura. Thank you, Matt. How'd you like that? How'd you like that?
Yisroel is unbelievable. He's such a sweetheart.
Yeah.
Wow. Grill him right now and eat him.
Matt, when we get together, I have a lot of thoughts. I want to see Avi Wolaski playing Yitzi Devor on the drums and Yisroel Neuman and Matt Levin singing together, and Grandma should be there cheering it on.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Really, really appreciate everybody joining. It means a lot that the whole chevra joined. I want to ask Rai Brownstein, we're talking about the things that we do together. We're talking about the fun things we do together. I want to ask Rai Brownstein Shlita, if we had that Shabbos at the Kiddush, Rai Brownstein says something. Morty Levovitz, thank you for being here. Thank you. At the Kiddush, we would be together. Rai Brownstein speaks for a few minutes. And the kasha and vartami say, my kids and I are like thinking about it for a while. It's something just intelligent and sophisticated. Akiva Koltai means a lot that you hear, a lot. Thank you, Kibala. Thank you. So Aaron Mattel, Akiva Aviax, thank you for being here. So what I want to do, Heber, is ask Rabbi Brownstein tomorrow. We will learn together at 12, Erev Shabbos Kodesh. Today, like Motti said, is the 21st day of the Omer, a Thursday, 3 weeks. What you taught me about the Svardim, how they say Sfiras Omer, Motti, that was magical. That they say, Hayom Echad, the Esrim Yom, La'omer Shehem Shavuos, and because of Rabbeinu Yerucham, that's off the charts. I see you, thank you for being here. Tomorrow will be our Zechus. We're going to learn together from 12 to 1, 12 to 12:40. We skipped the day of the Guris. Everybody's going to feel like it's missing today, but I feel like I pressure them daily, give them a day to breathe. But Be'ez Hashem, tomorrow will be on at 12. We will learn together tomorrow at 12. Maybe Yisroel Neuman will sing that at Toikil Echol again. No promises, but you never know. But we'll be, and it might be a middle of first Seder, I don't know. 12 o'clock tomorrow, we'll learn Torah together, and we'll hear from Rabbi Brownstein. A Kiddush word. We'll get to hear a Dvar Torah from Rabbi Brownstein to mirror that Kiddush. I do want to ask, I see how it ignited me hearing Motti's words. We'll start next week putting on the spot, asking more people to share Divrei Torah. I thank Naftali Korper, Tzvieli Flagler, the whole Chaber, the Lift Mishpacha, the Lifts. Tzviki, Gersh is pointing to Tzviki. Thank you, Gersh. Thank you. Unmute Gersh. Let's hear what he wants to say. Gersh, you're unmuted.
Rabbi, Tzviki should speak next week.
That's a good idea. Tzviki, what says you about that idea?
It's a good idea.
Wow.
Rabbi,
Wow.
Tzviki knew the Gemara in Kedushin. He knew it.
Fantastic. I'm going to try to work out, as long as he's masking Tzviki, that Tzviki shares Divrei Torah next week with the Chevra. But I'm going to ask, everybody should have a wonderful, wonderful day. 8:30 tonight will be Avos, and tomorrow 12, not 2 o'clock Erev Shabbos. Tomorrow will be 12. Rev Ezi's raising his hand. Let's unmute Rev Ezi Shlita. Rev Ezi.
Speaking next week at some point, Rebbe?
Is who speaking?
Ephraim
One more.
Gottlieb.
It's not working. I'm going to hear Ezi's precious words. I'm going to call Ezi to hear his precious words. A mazel tov to the Bernak Mishpacha. Thank you for everybody for joining. Thank you, Reb Motti, for your precious words. Thank you, Reb Yisroel, for your precious song. Thank you, Rabbi. Have an outstanding day. Thank you, Graham. Have an outstanding day.